Hey everybody, and welcome back to Ask the RTK. Hope you're having a great week. Today I'm going to take a look at the Arctis 5 headset from SteelSeries. Now these are a great option for gamers, but they can do a whole lot more for you too. So let's check them out. Now I've been using the Arctis 5s as my primary gaming headset for a long time, and I have to say I think they do a really good job. I can hear what's going on in the games. You know, games where you got to be aware of your environment. They do a nice job, and they have really good dynamic performance. I also find that it's pretty easy to listen to music and spoken word on them as well. Plus, they're pretty comfortable. For closed back, I can wear them for a long time without really feeling fatigued or uncomfortable. But I've never really put them through full tests like I do with my other headphone reviews. So I thought I'd go ahead and do that, share it with you today. And so in this video, I'll go ahead and I'll roll back the clock. I'll unbox these headphones. I pretty much record the unboxing of everything I have, just knowing that I'll get to it at some point in a review. So we'll do that. Then we'll get into some audio tests. We're going to use a Sine sweep again, music. We'll go ahead and also test out spoken word. Plus, I've got some game audio for you so you can hear kind of the dynamic range between those soft sounds for letting you know who's around what corner versus the loud explosions. We'll also go ahead and test this inbuilt mic, or this pull-out mic, see whether that's any good, whether you can use that. I'm going to get into the SteelSeries software engine as well. We'll look at the software, kind of adjustments we can make with these headphones. Some pretty great stuff there, a lot of presets we can set, as well as automatic switching for different game profiles that we have. So again, some really cool stuff to look at there. We're also going to get into the features and specs. I'll share with you my thoughts on the build quality as well, and then I'll go over who these are for and where I think they might fit in for you. Okay, now it's been a while, so I'll try and do some justice to this unboxing. They come in decent packaging. There's nothing really special to write home about here, but pretty well put together. Go ahead and slice them open. I've been using these now for quite a long time, but I saved this because, again, I knew I was going to do a review at some point. So we'll go ahead and pop this open. Let's do that. Money isn't spent on a really premium package here, but definitely the money does go into the headphones, as we'll find out. So we'll go ahead and slide them out of the box. You get a sleeve inside a sleeve. And then you add another sleeve inside, or at least a tray that they fit in. These don't come with any kind of a case or anything, so you're going to have to either have a hanger for them where you keep them all the time, or find a case of your own to use for them. We'll go ahead and get the cable. This has a pretty long cable. It's about 10 feet long. Has detachable for USB to the headset. Also has an adapter to go to 3.5 millimeter, which is nice to have. And you get a chat control inline on it, which is great if you like to chat while you're in game, or use it for Discord at the same time. So really kind of useful there. It's a pretty kind of a rubberized cable, so some of you may not like that. It can kind of tend to stick and cling to things. Now I'll pull the headphones out themselves. Again, with the tray that's in here, you get a good safe trip anyways for them to get to you. The pads are pretty soft, and it's elastic as far as the compression on the headband, but it is plastic. But I've again found they've held up really well. So there we go. We'll peel the plastic off, the obligatory peeling of the plastic. Some controls on here. You can see volume, mic mute, a couple other things. And so overall, gaming headset. Let's test them out. And now that they're officially out of the package, let's go ahead and look at the audio tests. Okay, and we'll start out by recording the sine wave sweep directly into the Focusrite Scarlett 8i6, and so we'll have a baseline of comparison that we can look at with the Arctis 5s. Now we'll go ahead and record the sine wave sweep through the Arctis 5s, again using the P170. And now looking at the frequency response of the recording through the Arctis 5s versus the direct recording into the 8i6, we can see that the Arctis 5 does have a little bit of a miss in that sort of mid-presence area, as well as some declining response in the upper range. But overall, for a gaming headset, this is actually pretty good in terms of basic flat frequency response. You're going to get the information that you need. I'm not surprised to see a little bit of a roll-off in those high tones, but the bass tones really keeping up. So kind of what we'd expect. Let's take a look at the log analysis as well. The log analysis will give us a better idea of what we actually hear based on the tuning of the headphones. Now looking at the log comparison, we can see that we really don't have overboosted bass here. We're missing a little bit of information in the upper end, but the purpose of the log comparison is to give us a better idea of how we would actually hear things based on the tuning of the headphones. And we're not looking at these headphones as a, studio monitor idea where we want a really flat response for mixing. This is about the application. Could be for listening to music, could be for playing games, and it's good to see that we don't have an overemphasized bass. There's always opportunities to increase the bass. So we'll look at the software for this headset later on. But as just in bass flat settings for the headphones, this is what we get. And now I'll record music directly into the Scarlett 8i6 so we can use it as a comparison for music with the Arctis 5s. Now let's take a look at the music recorded through the Arctis 5s using the AKG P170. Now we're looking at the linear comparison for music recorded directly into the Scarlett 8i6 versus music recorded through the Arctis 5s. And you can see that, the bass is not overboosted here. We are missing a few frequencies throughout that mid-presence and high area. But overall, the general slope here is quite faithful. So there'll be a little missing information for music. Again, the primary use of this headset is actually more towards gaming, but very competent for music based on this. Now we'll take a look at the log performance, and again, that's a little more like what we would hear. And this logarithmic comparison is very telling. When we look at what we hear through both a direct recording and that through the Arctis 5s, we can see that the music reproduction is actually very faithful to the original file. There's not a whole lot of missing information, and the slope definitely follows the profile of the sound. So if I wanted to use these for listening to music on, I would definitely say they're going to be competent for that application. And that may play into the idea of using one headset. You may not want to have multiple headsets for music and gaming and voice chat, Zoom calls, those kinds of things. And so this is giving us a good idea that these headphones might be more than just for gaming. Now we'll take a look at spoken word. And now we'll record the spoken word sample directly into the Scarlett 8i6, again as a baseline for comparison for spoken word through the Arctis 5. This is a spoken word sample to test the Arctis 5 headphones. Now I'll go ahead and I'll record the spoken word sample through the Arctis 5s using the P170. This is a spoken word sample to test the Arctis 5 headphones. And so looking at the linear analysis of the spoken word recording, again, we can see that the general profile of the recording closely follows that of the direct recording. But the thing is, we're losing a little bit out on that high end. That's because we have less emphasis in the really high tones. Not really so much of an issue for spoken word, although I will say based on my monitoring, what I can hear, and also listening back to recordings, definitely the high end crispness is not quite there. So definitely, you may, if you like a crisper sound, you may like to boost the high frequencies a little bit here. But overall, the sound is still clear. It is not muddy by any means to my ear. Now let's pull up the log comparison. And again, that's more of a visual representation of how we hear things. And finally, looking at the logarithmic comparison of spoken word in the direct recording versus that through the Arctis 5s. And here it's very telling. The profile is a very close match between these two. And I would say that if you were listening to them, it would be very challenging to tell a whole lot of difference. There is some high end, the really, top end crisp or air missing, but not to the extent where it really compromises these headphones' ability to reproduce spoken word. And now that you've had a chance to take a look at the frequency analysis for the sine sweep, music, as well as spoken word, I've recorded some game footage as well into the headphones so you can get an idea of the sound of footsteps and explosions and those kinds of things. So let's take a quick look at that.
items have arrived.
So strap yourselves in, Horizon. I've seen this driver before, and trust me, they know how to make an entrance.
I hope that gives you an idea of what the game sound is like. Of course, there's no perfect way to do this. You're hopefully listening through the best headphones you have, but that's still one layer in between you, not to mention YouTube compression and otherwise, a layer in between you and what the actual sound is. But I wanted to give you an idea at least of maybe the relative sound of how loud the loud explosions are versus the quiet footsteps, the dynamic range of these headphones. I again use it. This is my primary gaming headset, and I'm very, very pleased with the response. I've been using it for some time, and I have to say for the money, they perform very well. Can you do better for gaming? Sure you can. If you're into really competitive esports, you probably want something that has even more dynamic range. But I have to say that for most applications in this price range, these headphones, they really outperform what I'd expect in a gaming headset. Now you've had a chance to check out what the game audio sounded like. We'll take a look at the microphone. You're hearing me, of course, on the microphone now. This is the built-in microphone that's retractable on this headset. I have it slightly off to the side, as you can see here. If you pull it right in front, and you'll hear this handling noise, if you pull it right to the front, it'll start to pick up a lot of mouth tones and noise, which isn't going to be the best thing probably. So keep it off to the side. It has enough sensitivity. I boosted this by about 4 dB in the recording, just to give you an idea what you get. But we'll take a look at the control software shortly, and I'll just show you how I have the mic set up in there so you get an idea. But this is what the tone's like. I wanted to give you a chance to hear it. Let's take a look at the software. Okay, now we'll take a look at the configuration software, and you see you have a number of things. You have the option of using DTS Headphone X version 2 off or on, and then there's various settings as far as studio, game, and cinema modes. Based on that, you can also change your stereo profile for the size of room. I've just got it on the default here. You have basic options for bass enhancement and dialogue enhancement. All of the recordings, everything I'm doing in this video, of course, have been without any of this turned on. And even the DTS effect was off when I redid the recordings of the sine wave, spoken word, and music. So nothing there, but there is an equalizer as well. It has a few built-in presets, so it'll give you an idea of what you can get for sound. You know, by changing them, some of the presets like performance give kind of a boost in the upper end, just to give you that sound of a little more energy out of the headphones. If you get into something like entertainment, it's going to give you that kind of smiley face, a little bit scooped in the middle sound, although it's really not scooped. It's the low and the high end are boosted. So there's a few options in here for what you can do. You can have it optimized for voice only, which is going to really cut those low tones out. But again, just gives you a basic idea. I typically, like to keep these things set at flat. And again, everything was totally flat. Compression as well. Here you have the option to compress the dynamic range. So if you have a lot of high transients, or if you want to kind of tame some of those explosions, if they're excessively loud in a game, you can do that using this compression setting. So there's a few of them here. Again, I usually keep this on off, but you do have those options. And again, you're still hearing me on the microphone that's built into the headset. And so there's a few things. There's a live preview to let you test what the sound is like through the headphones themselves. There's mic volume. You can see that I have it set up here fairly high, not all the way at the top. And I found this kind of about 75% is a good place to keep it. The noise reduction I have on the low setting. This does have kind of built-in noise reduction here. Just cuts out a little bit of the ambient noise, clicks from being on the keyboard. Just click away on a keyboard here, and I give you an idea of what gets picked up, if anything. And it also has mic side tone that you can mix the amount of the mic tone that's coming into things as well. So it's kind of useful. All of this can, of course, be stored in various presets, and you can create those configs. There's a lot more you can do with this software. It allows you to configure by game, and it'll automatically adjust the profile by every game and or other app you launch. It also has a lot of settings for things like Discord that you can customize the control there. And on the note of things like Discord or other chat apps, of course, The control on the cord for this headset allows you to blend back and forth between chat and your voice, so you can really control how much of your people you're gaming with or people you're on Discord with at the time while you're gaming. You can mix that in and out just to get the balance that you like conveniently here without having to go into software. So that's kind of a useful feature on this as well. Now that we've had a chance to check out the audio performance on this headset, I'll do a quick walkthrough on the specs for you. These are a closed back design, so we're trying to isolate as much noise as possible with that. They're 32 ohms, so the nice thing is, like with the 3.5 millimeter adapter that's included, you can use these with your smartphone or any other kind of player. They really don't take a lot to drive, so that there's the option. Of course, the USB connection is the way most people will go with their computer, just because of the added features with the software that are useful. They have 40 millimeter drivers, so they have a reasonable size driver. They give you good bass response, as you've heard. Frequency response is rated at 20 to 22,000 hertz. And our measurements on the sound kind of demonstrated some roll-offs in certain areas, but overall I felt they did a pretty good job. Sensitivity of 98 dB. Total harmonic distortion is less than 3%. These aren't going to win any awards as far as audiophile headphones, but that's not the point. I think the idea here is to be a gaming headset, but also provide reasonable music and voice reproduction. They, of course, do have the DTX Headphone X surround sound, which is a nice feature to have. The microphone spec'd out at 100 to 10,000 hertz, so a fairly limited range here. But again, when you think about this microphone, it's really designed to be for voiceover and chat while gaming. That's the purpose of it. It's not really meant to give you a big broadcast sound or ultimate clarity, more really to cut through other sound in the mix. And I think the fact that it's very mid-forward, that it really kind of lives up to that. It's a bi-directional mic, which again is supposed to help out with some noise reduction. I don't like to overuse noise reduction features. They tend to be a little bit artifact prone, so we'll leave that out of there. And but nonetheless, the microphone is also retractable if you prefer to use a different mic, as I would while streaming. It does have a 10-foot or a 3-meter cable, so plenty of length on it here. It gives you the option of USB again, or the included 3.5 millimeter adapter. It has a share jack built in as well on the headset, so if you want to share the mix with someone else. Some physical controls. I showed you the chat mix control, but it has volume and mic mute also built onto the headset itself. And of course, you have the SteelSeries engine software that we looked at. It really lets you customize the sound for this depending on if you're trying to create a particular listening environment, or if you are using this for music or for just for listening to podcasts as well as gaming. And just quickly before I get into the build quality, I want to mention the RGB illumination. Of course, these headsets do have RGB colors. They have rings on either side of them. And you can choose in the software either to have them synced where it locks them together, or to have a different color or pattern on either side. Now I've got them locked, and I'll just open up the color palette here. And in here we can choose a number of things. First, we can choose various patterns of effect. So, we can have steady, solid color, but we can do color shift. So changing colors with all the ones in between. We can have a multicolor breathe. We can also disable the illumination if we want. We can adjust the speed as well. So, if we want to have it cycling faster or slower through the various colors, we can do that, as well as the amount of time for a full pattern for that it takes to completely go through the cycle. So we can adjust that. The color shift patterns themselves can be changed, so we can have different sets of colors that it's shifting between. And so, a lot of options. Again, we have presets and options if you like to have that RGB illumination to match all your other gear. And I want to talk a little bit about build quality on these headphones. I will say that the band is plastic. There is this elastic material that helps keep things snug, but all the pivot points are plastic. The ear cups do swivel in and out, but only in one direction. They articulate up and down, but not a great deal of distance. But I do find it to be enough to be comfortable to fit. The microphone, definitely no issues there. It stays in position when you pull it out. It feels pretty solid when you store it there. Same thing with the controls. We have the volume control. We have a microphone mute option here on the side. Of course, the cable can be connected and disconnected. Plus, we do have the share jack. That's all very well made. They're lightweight enough, but they still actually feel quite solid. I've actually had these for some time. These are my general gaming headset that I use quite often, and so I have to say they actually hold up really well. I've been really pleased with them. So overall, good build quality there. I would say the same thing about the controls. The chat dial is also very, very well done with these. For the money, the value is really good. The pads have quite a bit. They're nice and soft. They're pretty comfortable. You know, they're not going to be any luxury pads that you might want to upgrade to, but they certainly get the job done. They're comfortable enough when you wear them over a long period. You're not going to overheat, you know, considering they're a closed back headphone. I think they're actually really good that way. And so overall, I would have to say for the money, the build quality of these, they've held up really well. So overall, my final thoughts, I have to say that in this price point, this is a very capable headset. In terms of the headphone performance themselves, the audio reproduction, I think they do a really good job for gameplay. They also pretty accurately deliver spoken word and music. And so if you were looking for a headset that you could use like for a wide range of applications, I think they're a great fit there. Yeah, I mean, they're plastic. The build quality is not like a high-end headphone, but they've held up for a long time for me. And I have to say the comfort is pretty decent in wearing them. So, you know, who are they for? I think they're for somebody who has multiple use cases that wants to, you know, invest in something decent without spending, you know, a fortune. Someone who doesn't want to necessarily have a lot of different headphones and headsets around, is looking for really a multi-purpose device. And this really fits the bill. You know, it has a little bit of RGB bling for those that like that. I really like the controls in the SteelSeries engine software. You know, we have the option to really leave things untouched, or we can, you know, add the bass boost. For those of you that really want that slamming bass, you can absolutely do that. The noise reduction is reasonably effective. Again, I don't like to turn it up very loud, so you're going to hear clicks in that through this noise reduction on the level 1 that I have it set at. But basically, I would say it is, you know, it does a good job of that. And the compression is nice to have as well, especially when game designers, the audio game designers, maybe haven't done a great job of balancing the dynamics. So there's a lot to be said for that as well. So overall, who are they for? Again, people who are generally looking for headphones that'll meet a variety of needs. The Arctis 5s are a pretty great value when it comes to listening to music, just chatting, gaming, or streaming. If you're into more audio gear, check out one of the videos on the screen. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.